All right, guys. Well, good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much for hopping in for today's story. JT and I and the rest of the BLG group and everyone else that's on the call, we're super excited to, kind of kick this series off. We both JT and I have shared our stories in the past, and we want to try to establish a place where folks can not only talk about their personal background, just kind of where they grew up, but also to be able to provide some insight into career growth and where people ended up today. And so without further ado, we're very excited to introduce to y'all Tara Jacobs. She's been with us for 7 months, about just over, since December 2020, and we're super excited to hear about her and just her journey. And so Tara, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Rob. So I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start when I was a kid. I feel like this really plays a part into my career growth. I did grow up in a abusive environment, so me and my siblings we just went through a lot, like as far as like physical, mental, and emotional abuse for 12 years, and it did affect our school life. So we weren't allowed to really just be normal kids. We were raised in a sheltered environment. And as far as like success, it wasn't planned for us. So it was never mentioned like you're going to graduate, you're going to go to school. We would purposely have missed school days, like being kept at home and all other stuff, like miss important like testing days and all other things like that. So with that being said, I kind of felt like my life was like ruined. Like I would never have be able to be successful, and I felt trapped like in that environment with my family. So because of that, for a numerous of years, I was very depressed, and I would always question like every day. I was like, why was I born? Like just to bring on this pain. Other things like that. So um, after that, I kind of just ran away from home at an early age because I was tired of the abuse, like me and my sister. So we were homeless at the age of 16 and 17. So I just was doing any and everything that you could think of, like that you've probably seen in the movies, just to survive. And because of that, I came across a lot of bad people and a lot of good people, while in that lifestyle. And so it taught me a lot of lessons as far as the different world that's out there outside of Hannah, Montana. And I thought that my life, that the fairy world, the fairy tale world existed in the real world. But actually being out there, I realized, wow, there's a lot of things going on. I was exposed to a lot of behaviors and, like I said, circumstances, which is the reason why I want to advocate and fight such causes today. And the only reason why I was saved from that lifestyle was because of a nosy Nancy, who I'm very grateful for. Like the society likes to paint nosy Nancy's as, bad guys or whatever, but because of her, I was able to be saved and rescued from someone that was potentially going to do whatever with my life. So I ended up being saved. They realized who I was, and I let them know the reason why I ran away. I was in an abusive environment at my home. So they took me and my sister away from that environment and put us in, I guess, like a kid shelter like program where like they help build up your character. They help just a lot of positivity in your life. So because of this program, and it's actually in San Antonio, it's called New Life. I got to experience what the real definition of love is. I got to experience positivity. I got to know God, who I believe in, and just a lot of just a brand new like lifestyle that I wasn't used to growing up. Like when my counselor was nice to me, I was like, oh my God, like, does she like me the wrong way? Because I didn't understand like people can be genuine and just love. And from that, I kind of had like a mind reset on just a different outlook on life. And from there, they helped me um, care about my life, helped me care about my successes and where I was going in life. And then I felt like I was back on track with, who I am and that my life isn't over. So fast forward from there, I ended up working at the age of 18 and, just living on my own. From there, I was just happy. I was just a happy person. And I ended up eating too much, gained a lot of weight, um, because I was just, comfortable in life. But in that moment, I realized that I was wasting my life away, not really, doing much in my life. I was just comfortable. I was complacent. So from there, I ended up was like, what am I doing? What am I gonna do? So I decided to go back to college because I'm like, you know what? I got my GED. Like, what can I do with my life? So I enrolled into a HBCU because they're very accepting of the Black community. They're like, you don't have to have like a certain GPA. You don't have to have, all the other fun stuff. Like they accepted me, my GED, and I didn't have any transcripts or anything like that. And I was very grateful because I was like, okay, I have a shot at still going to school. So it wasn't even like 3 months in, I started losing weight because I'm like, you know what? I'm getting my life on track. I want to lose weight. I'm just gonna, pick up where I'm at, like where I left off, so I can be, successful, feel something great about my life. And not even too long after I dropped 50 pounds, I ended up getting attention from guys that I never had before, and I ended up having my son. So I was like, crap, you know, like, okay, so I had my son, and even though it was a mistake, he just helped save my life as far as long term wise, what I wanted to do, and help me heal from the damage that occurred in my younger years. And I realized that I didn't want that same life for him. So with that, I ended up dropping out of school because I was afraid of what people were going to say about me. Like, oh my gosh, she got pregnant in school and all that fun stuff. So I was like, no, I don't want them to judge me. So I dropped out and I was like, what am I going to do? So the funny thing is, and everyone always needs to know this, is that I don't know why, but in the work world, when you're applying for jobs, why can't pregnant women get hired? Like, that is so messed up. If a job knows that you're pregnant, automatic no, they do not want to hire you because it's dang, she has to leave in 6 to 7, 8 months, whatever. Then we have to find someone to replace her again, which sucks because society tells women, especially single moms, especially Black women, that when we get pregnant, we get judged for getting on, benefits, government assistance, food stamps, all this stuff. But yet, when I apply for a job to provide for myself so I don't have to depend on that, you don't want to hire me. It's like, make up your mind. But back to the story. So, um, yeah, so I had to lie and be like, we're like baggy clothes. I was 3 months pregnant. And, they're like, so do you have any reason why you wouldn't be, here in the next 6 months? I was like, no, it's all good. So I had to lie and able to get hired on my job about being pregnant. So then 6 months later comes along, they see my stomach poking out. They're like, Tara, what is going on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pregnant. But by that time, um, I was doing a really great job. I got promoted to another position, like a lead position of being an account coordinator. So in a way, like my son just helped put my mindset of being like a warrior and doing my best and fighting the best that I can be. So with that mindset, I guess like I always wanted to put my best foot forward, like with working and things like that. And like I said, I got a promotion to be a lead position. So when I got pregnant, they're like, yeah, go ahead, have your baby. When you come back, this and that, we'll pick up where we left off. So I couldn't wait until after I had my son to get back to work because I know, government assistance is out the window. It's going to take forever to get on that. It takes a couple of months. They're going to scrutinize you, make sure you're not, trying to cheat the system and stuff. So I was like, I don't have time for that. My baby daddy's not around. I don't have time for child support, like all that stuff. Like people think that stuff comes easily, especially for a Black woman, but it's like, no, we actually get scrutinized harder because we are Black women or Black people that's needing assistance because they think that we're lazy or we're trying to get over on the system. So I was like, I'm just not even going to deal with that drama. So, and then side note, that's kind of the environment that I grew up in. that was abusive. And I guess I just wanted to disconnect myself from them as much as possible. So I was like, I don't want to be like them in any way. Not trying to talk bad on them, but it's just I try to disconnect myself from that abusive past. So I had my son, and then he was 3 weeks old, and I was already trying to find a sitter to babysit him, get back to work. So I was working for I guess like another year, and then I ended up having my daughter. And after she was born, I was just pretty complacent in life. I'm like, I'm working because I was still at the same company that I got pregnant and hired with. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like everything's great. It's not, I made it to the spot where my family told me that I would never be anything. I would never do anything with my life. But I'm like, I ended up, by the grace of God, being able to supply for myself and my children. So from there, I was looking for love, and I ended up meeting a man that I thought loved me, but he ended up being abusive. So I was in that abusive relationship for 6 months. And the only reason I left was because he almost took my life. If it wasn't for that night that he attempted to do that and my children was there, I probably would have still been there because of the psychological impact that abuse has on women. It's a mind game to where you feel like they love you so much, they're so obsessed with you. This is why they're doing this, because they don't want to lose me. Like versus you looking at it as like, oh my God, he's crazy, he hit me, I need to go. Like it's a time like thing. They do it over time to like, control your mind, control your feelings. So in that moment, I didn't think of myself, I thought of my children and their safety. And that's just what prompted me to leave. I ended up having to leave to a women's shelter in Houston, Texas. And from there, I felt like I was back at ground zero. I was like, gosh, like I'm back where I started when I was 16 years old. So, being homeless, without a job, and now I have kids. So from there, I was like, what am I doing with my life? Um, my baby father found out I was in a shelter, and because of the reason why, I have two different baby fathers for each of my children. And he was like, you know what, I don't want my daughter living in a shelter. I'm taking you to court for custody. And that day, he did win the battle to take my daughter away from me. And try not to cry because she was a baby, and I missed a lot of memories with her when he took her away. But that moment is what inspired me to go back to school for Scholas, because I was like, I lost my daughter and I'm in a shelter, and it's just like I was at the bottom of my life ever. Um, I felt like my life was over. So losing a child when you're a mom, like, away from you, stripped away, is like the strongest thing ever. So I'm sorry, guys. I just remember the judge telling me, he was like, you're here in my courtroom and you're telling me that you want your daughter back. And I said, yes. And he was like, he told me this. He said, you're in a shelter, you don't have a job, and you just came from an abusive environment, and you're telling me that this is a good place for your daughter. And I just remember crying because I was like, aside from that, I know that I'm a great parent. So he gave my baby daddy custody, and she's just been away from me ever since. And but like I said, that's what fueled my motivation to go back and find a route to supply for my life. So in that moment, I was like, what can I do? What can I do? I found Scholas, a training school, and for IT. This was in 2019. And I didn't have nothing to my name, just hope and a prayer to God, saying, God, please help me. I said, I want to be successful, not just for me, but for my children, for my daughter. And I went to the school, I applied, they interviewed me, and they were like, you know, it's hard, like, you don't have the skills, you know, as an IT person, but they said you have the passion, your drive is there. So we're definitely consider you if you feel like you can fight every day, study hard every day, put your best in to get a certificate. And in that moment, I knew that I could do it. So I applied. They're like, okay, if you can start, that's great. But you're not allowed to bring your son. You're gonna need childcare. I didn't have any money, so I was like, oh my god, like, how am I gonna, you know, bring my son to, like, who's gonna watch him? I don't have family, this and that. So I tried to join like the government assistance programs for children, childcare, and they advise that you either currently, and this is another side note, enabled to get government assistance childcare, you have to be currently working or currently in school. And I was trying to let them know, I'm like, yo, I'm not in school, but I'm about to join school. Like, they're like, no, you have to currently be in school. I'm like, what sense does that make? Like, if I'm trying to get a job and I'm telling you, like, hey, you know, I have a job interview, I can't bring my son to with me to the job interview. What sense does it make for you to give me childcare after I get a job when I can't even go to the job interview? Like, it's a lot of things that goes on in the world that's like, it doesn't make sense at all. So, when they told me that, I was like, dang, now I can't go to school. And my depression level went up all the way to the roof because I was like, I lost my daughter. Now I'm homeless. I don't have a job. And now I can't do nothing with my life to get my daughter back or succeed in life. I was like, there's nothing left for me. And I was very self harming mode. And I called my school. I was like, look, I said, and I was in tears. I was crying. I said, I'm not going to be able to join this cohort. I said, my life, like, there's nothing that will happen for me. I was like, I'm not going to be able to go or do anything. I was like, it's just every time something happens, the door keeps closing in my face. I said, but thank you for your time. I was like, you know, have a great day. One of those messages. But literally an hour later, the reference lady, her name is Gabrielle, called me back and she was like, Tara, she's like, I can hear the pain in your voice. And she's like, and I don't want to insinuate anything, but she was like, I could also tell that you probably feel really, really low right now, and I don't want nothing to happen to you. She's like, I did reach out to the child care assistance program, and my director wrote them a letter to get the program turned on for you so you can start school. And I just remember praising God that day because literally before she called, I said a prayer to him. I was like, Lord, I don't want this to be the end of my life. But I was like, I don't know what else to do. I said, I don't know where else to go because I'm like, everything I'm trying is just a dead zero. And literally right after that prayer, she called me. And I was like, this is a sign from God not to give up. So I was able to get assistance with them breaking their rules of turning on childcare before I actually started school. And from there, I was like, you know what? Now it's up to me. So I ended up fighting hard, studying every day because it's a very extensive training program. And I ended up getting certified, going a little over half of the certifications. So from there, I just was motivated to know that I could do anything in life, knowing that people could support me. And from there, I ended up, while I was still in school before I graduated, I received a lot of, I guess, like job offers, people understanding like who I was as a person versus what was just on paper. Like, you know, she doesn't have this, she doesn't have a degree, she doesn't have that. And it just was so amazing to me, like coming out of graduation, before even graduating, people were with $20 an hour jobs were like, Tara, we want you to come over here to, you know, North Carolina, this and that, over here, this and that. And I was just like, wow, like, you know, I do have, you know, a meaning, you know, I'm I'm worth something, I guess I should say. And from there, I ended up working my first IT job in Dallas, Texas with Global IP Networks. And in that environment, it was very great, very awesome. I learned a lot of networking skills and all that other fun stuff. I learned to be humble, to be a servant to people. But in that time while I was working there, it just made me realize that throughout my life, even though I had a lot of uh, bad starts, I realized that I got to where I was at today from the support of people. And I was like, I want to, hopefully, by the grace of God, open a nonprofit business to help people in the same way that I was helped in my life. Because if it wasn't for those people, it would be no telling where I would be right now. So I ended up wanting to change career paths and get a higher salary. So I was like, you know what? I said, I need to look for a new job. So that's when I found good old Arrive Logistics on Indeed. And I applied, but it was for a 4-month contract. It wasn't a temporary contract. And I was like, you know what? I live in Dallas. I don't have any money. I don't have nowhere to stay out there. Don't have no family out there. But I was like, you know what? Let me see. Let me just give it a shot. So I did. I applied. And then next, Miss Abby Penland, who I love so much, she was like, hey, Tara, let's get you an interview. So I interviewed with my manager, my future manager right now, my teammates, Renee, and all those other fun, great people. And they were like, well, they feel like you're a great fit. So I was like, okay, yes, I'll take the job. And then a few weeks later, like reality kicked in and I was like, yo, like Tara, like how are you gonna survive out there? Like you don't have any money saved up, you don't have a good credit score to move into an apartment, like you don't have family out there, you know, all of like everything just attracted my thoughts. And I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't, go out there because there's nothing out there for me. And I was like, let me just try to look for a job out here. So I really loved Arrive. And I remember praying to God, I was like, Lord, I was like, if this is the job for me, let me know. I was like, because right now there's all these odds against it. That's like, no, that's not gonna work. So next thing you know, I told Abby, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And then Abby messaged me back. She was like, Tara, she's like, why? Like everybody loved you, this and that. And then I told her the truth. I was like, everything going on in my life right now. I was like, I just don't see myself working out there, or it's just not gonna happen. So her and my managers all formed this allegiance alliance of support to just get me out here. And I didn't even know, like, I don't know how they planned it. Kyle's on the call. Like, I don't know like how they, put it together, but Kyle and Jeff, which is our other IT manager, they called and they're like, yo, Tara, we heard what's going on and we really like you. We really want you out here. And I don't know if I could say this, but um, Jeff's wife, she ended up opening a GoFundMe account for me and just supplying me with resources for like apartment locators, childcare assistance, like everything that I didn't have. Like she was just a resting foundation for me to know that I was supported. And Kyle assisted me with gas money to come down, food, to come down for from Dallas, to Austin. And he thinks I don't know, but he also called my apartment lady to help get me moved into my apartment. Yes, I know. She told me. And I just didn't know that I was so supported. And because of that, I'm here now and doing what I'm doing. So aside from the professional side, I didn't just get here entirely on my own with the current people. As far as people from my past, like of course, like I know it wasn't just me, and I'm very thankful for that. And because of that, it just helps me to be more motivated in doing what I want to do as far as, like I said, opening a nonprofit business in the future to help people like me who may have had bad starts, abusive environments, or felt like their life was disrupted and they can't be successful. Because I can be a living testimony of no matter where you came from, who you are, where you started, what you're lacking. If it's in your fate and in your story to succeed, it will happen. You just have to believe and, domino effect wise, be that support and positive environment for people in the world. So that's how I got here at Arrive. But as far as like um, side projects that I do, like I do modeling on the side. Those things like that just happen to be a turn of events. Like throughout my life, I just happen to bump into people. They're like, "Hey, I have stuff going on. Do you want to participate in this?" And I just say yes. I'm a yes man. Like every time I say yes, I always end up doing opportunities that I'm like, "Oh, how the heck did I get here?" And so my school ended up writing a feature on my story on the website. And because of that, they submitted it to the PR review, their public review, and they're wanting to put the story in Parade magazine. So it's like I said, I always say yes to everything. So that's how that happened. I wasn't even expecting that to happen, but yeah. So that's just a little about me. I tried to get the most of it. Anybody have? I don't know what else I'm supposed to say or do.
Thank you so much, Tara. That was amazing, an amazing story. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions?
Tara, I don't have a question. It's Katie Kelly, but you got me in here in my living room crying my eyes out. I just want to thank you for your bravery and your just the tenacity that you have and for sticking it out. We all go through stuff, right? We don't necessarily
Yeah.
talk about it at work, but you have no idea how much people look up to you. I look up to you. I was having the worst day of my life last week, and you just had the nicest thing to say. You had no clue what's going on, but always a smile on your face and something kind for somebody else. And I just appreciate you, and I look up to you and your testament to Arrive and what kind of company it is, how it has your back is just it's incredible, and I think a lot of people need to hear that story. So thank you so much for sharing with everybody.
Thank you. I really appreciate you.
I don't have a question, but I just also want to say thank you. As always with these stories, like I think it's so nice. I can find like some solace in just hearing people's backgrounds because we all carry ourselves with such a like bright energy and a successful mentality throughout the day that it's when you're struggling on the inside, it's kind of hard to like look at everybody and be like, oh well, you're so lucky, you have all this stuff, look this way, you have all these promotions, whatever. But like everybody comes from something difficult, everybody comes from struggles, so it's nice in a way to know that we've all kind of had our pain
Yes,
and
yes,
we've all managed to make it here.
yes, yes. That's very true.
Yeah, I was definitely crying right along with you. So it is never would have guessed that you've been through some of the things that you've been through. And it is very comforting to find some solidarity and having such a challenging background to overcome to make it to where we are today. And I love how vocal you are about your faith. That's really important to me too. So it's really cool to hear how much glory you give to God as you've experienced everything. It's you're amazing. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
You guys are
I
good.
wanted to hug you so bad. I'm not going to. That's weird, but I
You're
would
awesome.
love to give you a hug right now.
Thank you. And yes, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you for, taking the time out to listen. I'm really hoping that, I can make an impact on the world that's out there, especially for children. I don't know if you guys seen documentaries, but there's a documentary about Gabriel who just shared the same childhood that I witnessed, but unfortunately, I survived from it, and unfortunate from him, he didn't, but he is in rest. And things like that is just passionate about me for just wanting to help other people. And, that's why I'm a weirdo at work because I'm like, you never know who needs a good day, a good smile. You never know what they're going through. And just in general, like, I believe in the domino effect. If we continue just remembering to brighten someone's day and to be a servant to others, um, it will make a difference in the world. And that's what I strongly believe in. Yeah, I'm done.
Tara, thank you so much for
God bless you, Tara.
being bold. Thank you, Frank, and courageous today with sharing your story. We just appreciate the vulnerability and the fact that you were willing to, be as candid as you were with everyone today, have already heard, it's blessed a lot of people. And so that's what JT and I's desire is, for people to hear other people's stories that they can relate to, but also just be encouraged by, especially within the workplace, because like we've all said, there's a lot going on in our lives, and people typically only see what they see at work, but there's a lot of things that happen outside of these walls that really impact who we are. And so, Tara, again, thanks for sharing. If no one else has any questions, this has been recorded. So if you know anyone who wanted to be here that couldn't make it, this will be shared out to our group, but also feel free to share it out to other groups as well. But everyone, have a good rest of your afternoon and happy Thursday.